This film also had the creepiest Santa. And you can,
oh my god, yes!
I'll pick Andrew Garfield. Peter 3.
Peter 3.
Ooh, that comic book filter.
This green ball?
This green tennis ball is Vecna, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
Oh my god. Hey, Cinema Peeps.
Hey, Cinema Peeps.
Oh my gosh. And when I yawn, my eyes get all watery. It
no.
doesn't look good on camera. I'm sorry, people. But nor does that, like, my light giving me very sharp pupils, white pupils. Very sharp.
What was it that we learned in school, though? It was like you have the little like light reflection in your eyes shows that you've got like
A soul.
A soul, yeah.
When you don't, you look dead-eyed.
Yeah.
Which, that'd be true. Yeah, that'd be true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cinematography. What a confusing class you were.
Yeah.
What a confusing class you were.
Right? It probably shouldn't have been that confusing, but unfortunately, we were abandoned halfway through, so it was confusing.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm very grateful for all the people who leave little tip videos. I'm like, thank you. Thank you.
Right?
Thank you. I need this in my life.
Yep.
I need it all.
Right? Oh man, it's crazy how far like there's times where I will like see all the stuff for like tips and how-tos and tutorials on filmmaking and everything that you can get online now, and I think back to like school for us, and then I'll sit there and go, I wonder what it's like in film school nowadays.
Yeah.
Like it's got to be drastically different.
Like, how do you be like, yeah, I could teach you this, or you could watch YouTube.
Right? Like, and because like, you know, how we had obviously I'm sure they still have all the gear that you use like we did, but I'm like, I wonder, like, for budget reasons too, could they not just encourage filming on the phone, or do they actually? Because like there's part of me that's like, let's keep it classic, let's keep the history of filmmaking and like the actual professional tools that we use so that people understand how to use them, know what they're for, and can appreciate them. But on the other hand, it's like it's nice that we do have like such incredible cameras on these phones and things. And if people
Yeah.
already have that in their pocket, then it saves a lot of money having to like spend on all the gear and stuff, right?
Oh yeah. I remember maybe it was like near the end of our quarter. One of our teachers like had showed us like a film that was all filmed on the iPhone, and it was such a big deal
Mm-hmm.
even at that time,
Yeah.
which was only last year for us, or if you're wondering how long we've been out of school for.
I wish.
Right? You're right. Like, you don't want to take away like, the magic and like how hard, not how hard, but like how you would use, and I mean, brain not working. Because, like, to be fair, like, even when we were in school, everything was digital.
Yeah.
We never actually got to work with any actual film, but that's obviously for budget reasons. It's very
Yeah.
expensive to use.
Yeah.
But I think it would be foolish not to incorporate some kind of lesson in terms of like filming on your phone, especially since so many jobs, like if you want to do a social media job,
Mm-hmm.
you need to know how to film videos and like, what formats things need to be on. So I think it would be
Yeah.
a little silly of them not to include it.
Right?
But yeah, I wouldn't know what that, like, if I was to plan that class, I'd just be like, here are all the YouTube videos to
Right?
watch. But and then be like, and I will teach you nothing. Let the
I'll
internet
just sit
teach
back
you.
yeah, right?
Right? But yeah, it would be interesting to know if they do incorporate it, because that's probably important at this point.
Right? Because yeah, like even some of the classes that we had, like nowadays I'm thinking, yeah, this probably is either obsolete or drastically different now. Because at the time, like even like Adobe was just a brand new software, or not maybe brand new, but like the Premiere Pro and stuff was like a brand new thing that we were was just being unveiled that year because it was all Final Cut beforehand. So then we had like the one class near the end where it was like, "Oh, we're gonna teach you now how to use this software in case it's ever something that you
Yeah,
want to try instead because it seems like Final Cut Pro is dying now."
right, and that's again, I think I've said this before, like, that's the wild thing of, like, do you need, like, the best camera equipment? Do you need all these things? No, because surprise, it's gonna be outdated so quickly.
Yeah.
Is it important to know how to use those things? Absolutely,
Mhm.
but yeah, not to get too, fixated on one thing,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know about you, I didn't really watch a whole lot this week. I had every intention of, like I have, like, my Oscars plan of what to watch
Oh, yes.
because my mom is away, so I'm trying to knock off films. Again, free films, but I'm also trying to be like, what are films my mom would want to watch with me?
Right.
Because I forgot to look it up. I think Killer of the Flower Moon is, like, one of the longest ones.
Yeah.
So, like, I would wanna knock that off right away,
Immediately.
but I think my mom would wanna watch that, so I'm
Mhm.
like, so I was gonna try to watch Maestro and then the Zone of Interest this week,
Okay.
just cause I just don't think she'd have any interest, and I wanna get the war one done right off the bat
Yeah, no kidding. I probably
as
won't end
fast
up
as I
watching that
can.
one, so you'll have to let me know what you think of it.
War bad.
Yep.
Caleigh review.
Well, I did watch a few movies this week.
Ooh.
Nothing new to the public, but new to me.
Mm.
And then I did go I don't think we talked about it on the podcast yet, but I did go see Wonka, so I could talk about Wonka.
Mm.
And then tonight I'm going to see Mean Girls, the new Mean Girls, so that'll be something I can
Damn.
dive into next week.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But as far as the movies I did watch this weekend, so uh I watched Braveheart
Oh.
and Gladiator. Two movies I had
Mm.
never seen before. I'd seen clips of them because I'm pretty sure we studied like a couple of scenes of them in school.
Mhm.
And I knew of them. I knew they were like considered like some cinematic masterpiece movies and ones that like are on the list of movies to see before you die kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think Braveheart was on TV and
Mm.
someone was watching it and I saw and I was like, I've actually never seen Braveheart. And then my mom was like, we should watch it. So her and I sat down to watch it. And it's really good. I can see I can see why it's considered a cinematic masterpiece. It was kind of interesting to like watch Braveheart and then Gladiator like right after too.
That's with
Uh
Russell Crowe, right, in
yes.
Gladiator?
Yeah.
Right.
So like it's kind of like not identical storylines, but the whole like motivation's the same where it's like
Yeah.
his loved ones get killed and then he gets like tortured or just beaten up in some way. The only difference is yeah, one goes and ends up being a slave and the other one just decides he's going to have revenge on on his enemies and take back freedom of Scotland. So yeah.
Mhm. I feel like yeah, I definitely haven't seen Gladiator. I feel like I've watched Braveheart, but a very long time ago because my younger brother really liked it.
Oh, really?
So I remember having it on VHS.
Oh.
So I remember, like, again, it'd be, like, bits and pieces and stuff
Mhm.
because I was so young, but
Mhm.
yeah, that was one of the movies he liked, and I feel like I was just kind of like, "Meh."
Meh.
Not as a child, I did not appreciate the cinematic
Yeah.
masterpieces, but I feel like as a child, my brain's not fully developed to understand
Yeah, well,
a
honestly,
lot.
same. Like, truly up until Game of Thrones, like, a Hobbit aside, but, like, I liked The Hobbit for different reasons, but I wasn't much of a fan of, like, the medieval kinda world,
Mm.
movies and stuff like that, so Braveheart was, like, never something I had an interest in, and then when everyone was like, "It's also 4 hours long," I was like, "Hard pass." So, but now that, like, I'm older and I feel like we've, become more conditioned with longer form content and having
Mhm.
had seen Game of Thrones, I was able to appreciate Braveheart more, and
Mhm.
I'd have to do some research to find out for sure, but I'm 100% sure they must take some inspiration from Braveheart because like just like the cinematography and
Mm,
like the tone of it all and the setting and everything like that is very like you could see Game of Thrones in it. And there's some Game of
mhm.
Thrones actors in the show too. So, but yeah,
Doesn't hurt for the
right.
comparison.
Right? And I mean, it was directed by Mel Gibson, so it's kind of cool
Mhm.
to like see a movie where he's the main character in it, but he also directed it too, so that's kind of a cool thing to watch.
He does brain fart. He's done a lot of directing. He
Oh
does
yeah.
done 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 done.
He does.
He does. He has done a lot of directing.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean that doesn't surprise me, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. Medieval stories and like set pieces. I don't know. It's 50-50 for me. Because I think sometimes, again, like we talked about like Lord of the Rings and like people who can create these large fantasy worlds,
Mhm.
I'm always impressed by.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I feel like because again, like there's only so many magical creatures and different like races within
Mhm.
medieval more medieval settings
Mhm.
that a lot of people obviously not copy each other, but obviously probably like have inspiration from each other.
Mhm.
And so sometimes, because I feel like as I think as, all the time, like even through cinema or even through like social media, we go through like the phases. So
Mhm.
I remember there was a large chunk where there were so many fantasy films, and I think maybe I was like, okay, I need to like we need to drop off a little bit, okay,
We need to
people.
step back.
And I mean, some of it is just timing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes if it's like, "Oh, hey, why is this all happening?" It's like, well, sometimes it takes years for movies to get, picked up off the ground. And then
Mhm.
there's some people who are like, "Oh, hey, we're noticing this trend. We're gonna jump on it."
Yeah.
But
Very true.
because like Harry Potter is not really like it's a fantasy for sure, but it's definitely not medieval fantasy.
No, like, I mean, there's the castle and, like, the setting,
Mhm.
but it's more of the like, yeah, like you said, it's more of the fantasy mystical. That's what kinda emphasizes all of that with it.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, these ones are actually set in those eras.
Mhm.
So, but yeah. But it was interesting too, like, because like, the thing I was talking, to my parents about after watching both, because they were asking what I thought of them,
Mhm.
and I found, I liked Braveheart more than I liked Gladiator, which some
Mm.
people would probably maybe either find shocking or not, I don't know, because I know I've just heard everybody, like, hype up Gladiator so much, they're like, "It's so good, you need to see the Gladiator." And, like, it was good, but I don't know, like, I just felt like there was more of a story that I could grasp and understand and root for in
Mm.
Braveheart. Like, the way the story was told is you felt for him when, like, all the tragic stuff that happened to him happened, and then when he, like, kinda or tried to take back his revenge and all that kinda stuff, you were like, "Yeah, okay." Whereas, like, with Gladiator, they kinda, like, skated over the fact that his, like, wife and kid got murdered by the king,
Mm.
and, like, obviously, Joaquin Phoenix, his performance is definitely like, shining thing to see in that movie.
Right, he was the
Like,
emperor, wasn't he?
and he's, like, super
Yeah.
creepy and yeah. So, like, he does good for that performance for sure, but
Mhm.
I don't know, I just felt like there was it was more action focused, so I just
Mm.
didn't really have much of the story, or there wasn't much of a story to, like, root for me. I was just like, "Okay, so yeah,
Stab,
okay."
stab. Stab, stab, slash, slash.
But then I also started to think too, like, because Ridley Scott was the guy who directed Gladiator,
Mm.
um, I noticed that, like, with some of his films, I feel that way, like, just not that he doesn't have a good story in them, it's just that I feel like he's so busy developing these worlds around
Mm.
the story that the story kinda gets, like, blurred in between. Like,
Mm.
I took I or blah, blah, blah. I struggled to get into the storyline for Blade Runner.
Mm.
'Cause it was just to me, it wasn't clear what was happening, and it wasn't until, like, the new one with Ryan Gosling came out that I was like, "Oh, okay, so there's, like, some sorta thing with these droids, and, like, this is, like, a far off, like, version of society that could end up
Mm.
becoming a thing," and yeah, so it wasn't quite clear to me when I watched that, but yeah, I'm
Did
rambling
he
now.
so we do here, girl. Did he Did Ridley Scott, did he direct the newest one or the original? I
For Blade Runner,
yeah,
he
sorry.
directed both, I believe.
Oh,
Yes.
fancy, fancy.
Mhm.
He got to go up for round 2.
Mhm. And he did all the Alien movies too.
I was gonna say, when you said that, I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, yeah, Aliens."
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what he's known for.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, I can't speak to Ridley Scott because
Mhm.
obviously, as we just said, Aliens, I've never watched any of that. That's
Mhm.
too scary for me. But Mel Gibson, like, that kinda makes sense for him. I feel like he usually goes for, like, yeah, the bleeding heart, the very
True.
emotionally, like, driven stories, Passion of the Christ,
Mhm.
what was the Hacksaw Ridge with,
Mhm.
Andrew Garfield.
Mhm.
That just seems to be his bread and butter, so he knows where he's at, and you know what? You do you, sir.
Yep.
Obviously not all the other things you did, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, I've just been watching more comfort move stuff.
Yeah.
I've been watching an anime on Netflix that I've been enjoying, but unfortunately it is episodic, so I have to wait
Mm.
every week,
Oh, yeah.
and it kinda bothers me a little bit.
Oh, really?
I'm I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because the way they have it formatted, it makes when I look, I'm like, "Oh, is there a new episode?" I'm like, "Oh, just kidding." The way they've labeled it makes me feel like I've missed an episode,
Oh.
but I haven't. They're just indicating like the next episode is coming out. So if there's 4 episodes out, they'll list it as 5.
Hmm.
Or if it's 3, it's 4, right? So in my mind, I'm like, "Oh, I've missed one." No, it's just
Yeah,
not
that's
out
weird.
yet. I'm like, "I don't
Yeah.
like that." So that's why
Yeah.
maybe that's why I'm like,
That's
and I
confusing.
right, and I really enjoy it as my comfort show, so I just want more
Nice.
of it. So maybe that's why.
Yeah.
But it's been a hot minute, I think, since I've watched anything like episodically.
Yeah.
Or but we're literally forced to at this point because everything else is so bingeable.
Right? Yeah.
But I definitely feel like I'm taking in more and enjoying it more
Yeah.
versus right now. I wouldn't really say I'm binging it. It's just on in the background when I've been trying to do stuff. Is the Ultimatum season 2.
Oh.
And I gotta say, Nick Lachey and his wife Vanessa need to stop. They need to stop. I know it's not a hot take, but like they do need to stop.
Yeah. I just think reality TV shows in general need to stop. It's such trash. Uh,
I like a little trash. I like a little trash, and that's fine. I
yeah.
like a little trash. I think it's when it's just like this not holier than now thing, but like for people who don't know, The Ultimatum is a show about couples who one couple gives an ultimatum to their partner. They want to get married. But one person wants to, the other person doesn't, so they give a ultimatum of sorts.
Mm.
And I guess, yeah, Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey made the show because she gave him an ultimatum. So how much of that is true, I couldn't fucking tell you.
Yeah.
So 6 couples come and then they break up and then they date the other couples or partners and stuff, and then they decide who they wanna live with for, like, the next 3 weeks, I guess.
Mhm.
They live with somebody else, and they come back with their original partner for 3 weeks, and then they have to make the big decision. And I think what
Jeez.
irks me is when people go, "You're not in the process, you're not trusting the process." And I'm like, "What process? Okay?
Yeah.
This is, like, some made up hoodoo stuff, you know?"
Mhm.
Like, I and again, to your point of, like, trash, like, TV, it's just like, "Listen, guys, there's something you could do, it's called going to therapy." Like, that is the solution.
Mhm.
Like, I'm very thankful you've come to make this show so I can judge your life, but also, like, I don't know, maybe you should've just gone to therapy.
Right?
Just a thought, but, that's not the
Yeah.
point of the show. The point is to make craziness, so
I just think people don't realize, especially with the caliber of reality TV there is out there, I don't think people realize the effect it has on society nowadays and
mm,
how much influence it has. And I just think we're enabling and encouraging people to A, get away with bad behavior that's unhealthy, and just because they see it on TV, the whole monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
He, on top of that, because you're watching it judging another person's life and how ridiculous it is and stuff like that, gives you a weird um power in your mind. It makes you think that you have the ability to judge other people. You have the right to judge other people too. Which we all do, which is it's a normal thing, but I think it's just over amplified to the point where it's like, well, you don't know what's going on in that person's life. And so I just feel like we're
Exactly.
creating more divide and more judgment, and
Mhm.
there's less sympathy and compassion and stuff.
If the show, like, had a therapist or
That would be
something,
interesting.
then
Yeah.
I feel like I wouldn't be as upset because, again, they're trying to, like, really push this idea that, like, this is a unique experience, like, you're not trusting the process. And I'm like, "This isn't really a proven thing."
Yeah.
Like, I think it's just gonna hurt you
You're just
more than
making
anything.
Right? You're just making a fool of yourself on national television, and if you have no remorse for it, then you're just gaining followers, because apparently that was the intention for signing up for it in the first place. Yeah.
A little
Mhm.
sketchy
And
there.
that's the other part too, is it's like people start to watch these things, which I'm guilty of watching them too. I like watching Love Island. But then they're like, "Yeah, come and follow me on my Instagram." And then you go and follow them, and then like they become an influencer, and then it's like, "Okay, now you're starting to like adopt those bad behaviors and the bad decisions this person's doing." And it's
Mhm.
like, with great power comes great responsibility, people. Have we not learned anything?
No.
Nope.
I wish I don't remember his name, but on YouTube, I've been, on the YouTube Shorts, his videos have been starting to be recommended to me.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know, it's because 'cause I've been watching a lot of schmut lately, schmutty TV, but his whole shtick is about, yeah, like, conflict resolutions and, like, how to approach, like, if you're having a problem in your relationship, like, how to approach it, how
Mm,
to, spart narcissism, like, things you can do to improve on yourself kinda thing.
okay.
And kinda showing there's always, like, 2, like, sides to every argument,
Yeah.
and then learning to and then really, like, understanding, like, when people say, "Oh," um 'cause again, I think we're all to be fair, I think we're all guilty of it. We'll throw around terms like boundaries and stuff, but not really understand what it means.
Mhm.
And because maybe again, we're watching other people on social media or TV and we go, that's what that means.
Yeah.
So I really like his content just for the fact that again, yeah, it's just very insightful.
Nice.
So again, if shows like The Ultimatum, like, want to be like that, I think they need to hire therapists, you know? Not
Yeah.
saying Nick Lachey and Vanessa Lachey are, like, the gurus of love, but, they don't really have any criteria.
Yeah, they don't really hold any accountability.
No. Especially there was one again, they once all the partners separate and date whoever they want, they come back to the table,
Mhm.
and then they all loudly shout out their grievances to each other, which is
Jeez.
always fun. Well, there's definitely one where it's clearly like this guy was caught lying, and it
Oh,
really
yeah.
upset a lot of the couples. And then Nick Lachey was like, "Wow, so a lot happened," and I was like, "That's your advice?
Yeah.
That is your sage advice? Wow, a lot happened. Yeah, I could have fucking told you that."
Mhm.
Like, what? Because I mean, so they made The Ultimatum. They also I think they're also Love Is Blind, aren't they?
Yeah.
I feel like there's a 3rd show in there, but I don't remember. But yeah, even Love Is Blind I find stupid. I've never watched
Mhm.
Love Is Blind because I think the concept is redonkulous.
Oh, it's yeah, my mom had it on a couple of times, and I got sucked into watching it with her, and yeah, it's ridiculous.
Mhm. So again, like, I feel Nick and Vanessa Lachey need to be stopped. That's great that they want to help other people, but I feel like there's other ways to help people that maybe don't benefit your bank account, but what do
Right?
I know?
I don't know, yeah. Like, I remember I can't remember if we talked about it before, but there was a show, I don't think it's on anymore, but there was a show called Naked Attraction.
Mm.
where it was a reality show, kinda like a dating show,
But
but the whole
everybody's
concept
naked.
yeah, you see the person's naked body before you see their face or their personality, and
Mhm.
you choose one person based off of that essential like if attraction to the physical body before anything else because sometimes I think the concept was like sometimes people aren't what who they say they are, so why not like
Mm.
be at your most vulnerable state where you're like completely naked and see if someone finds you attractive that way. So I like experiment wise I thought it was an interesting concept, but like
Mhm.
9 times out of 10 none of the relationships ended up working out in the in the end, so but
What
it
a
felt more real, I guess,
surprise.
right?
Yeah, I like shows that are just goofy, don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
I like Fuckboy Island. It's dumb. I love it. Temptation Island is getting a little too crazy for me, but it
Oh, yeah.
sucks me in every time. Sucks me in.
It's so ridiculous.
Again, all those shows, like, if they I know, maybe not like, a hard-hitting opinion, but I
Mhm.
think if they truly want to help people, they would hire therapists,
Right? I feel like that would be really interesting, and a lot of people would probably tune into that.
you know? Because then at
Yeah.
least then you have maybe like, yeah, a control, not a control party or a neutral, sorry, neutral is what I'm trying to say. Control, we must control
Control.
everyone. You'd have a neutral party member and at least someone who probably has at least some knowledge
Mhm.
so that when you're, because I think that's the thing that bothers me is these couples have these fights and they kind of go a little bit in circles.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like somebody needs to step in and be like, hey, this is what's happening,
Mhm.
and here are some ways that you can express how you feel.
Mhm.
And I feel like it'll help people have, again, maybe better understanding of who they are and how to treat people.
Yeah, exactly.
Not saying us as people, like, I think some of it should be common sense. But yeah, I think sometimes we throw around words like, or what is it called? Weaponized therapy or something?
Mm.
Where they'll say things, but they don't really know what they mean, and
Yeah.
they, like, use it as, like, "I'm diagnosing you," and it's like, "Okay, well, listen." You can say, like, "Oh, I think this person's a narcissist,"
Yeah.
but you don't know because 'cause you're not obviously trained, but if you see warning signs, you're more than welcome to be like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I can't have you like, you're too much. I can't have you in my life."
Mhm.
And that is okay. But
Yeah.
it's not okay when we're trying to use it against other people. That's kind of
Yeah.
where the
Well, it's a form of control, right?
yeah. Control,
Like
control, control.
control, control, control.
We need the control party. Get the
Right?
control party.
The worst part about some of those shows too is that like as much as it doesn't seem like it, it's all scripted. There's a producer whispering in everybody's ear on things to do to get the drama because that's what they want. That's what gets
You
the shock
should
value.
do you see him talking to your partner? You should go up and talk to him.
Yeah. And then or they'll like, invite people back or just like do things to get the shock value and stuff. And
Mhm.
then they'll literally hold auditions and they look for these types of people. So that's why you never see like real well, I'm not gonna say real people, but like people who maybe have their emotions in check or like a little bit more balanced with stuff.
You basically just wanna see me and Kendra because we just sit there and be like, "Oh,
Yeah, we'd be like, "Oh." Yeah.
oh."
We'd be the
Right?
2 in the back just being like
Yeah. And also, oh, fuck, was it Love Is Blind that got hit with some controversy?
I feel like they
Was
all have
it?
gotten hit with
Was it?
controversy.
I think it's Love Is Blind, but don't quote me, maybe I'm wrong. But I think it was, yeah, because they were talking about, like, the conditions that people were, um, put under doing these shows, and someone said, "Oh, yeah, they don't have water, they just have alcohol."
Jesus.
So it's like, yeah, of course, because again, they want a script and they wanna instigate situations,
Yeah. That
and,
seems
like,
like
they're
a
sleeping.
Not Love Island, what's it called? Bachelor in Paradise thing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
also them too. Like, I think they're all guilty. I just think Love Is Blind got really hammered. I think they also got hammered just because of the sleeping conditions and the filming schedules.
Mm.
Because again, as we said, they're not real. Like it's scripted. They're not actors, but I think some of them still get paid to appear on these shows.
Yeah.
But it sounds like they're not treated well.
No.
So it kind of makes it even worse. I mean, like I said, love me some drama, but then it's like, oh, these people are being put through a fucking circus.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel a little bad. And yeah. So, yeah, sorry, to your point, yeah, like things are scripted. They're going to instigate things. They're not looking for people to, I think secretly, I don't think they're looking for people to get better.
Nope.
They're looking for the drama.
The drama. Yep, exactly.
But yeah, so like I said, like they're not treated well sometimes on these shows, and I don't think that's right.
Nope.
But I don't know what the solution. I mean, the solution is not to treat people poorly. And again, they should maybe have a therapist. Even if they don't want to include a therapist like on the show, there should be therapists on the sidelines.
Right.
To be there. But instead, that was the only thing I could picture while watching some of this Ultimatum show was like that poor camera person is sitting in the apartment while these two people are just bitching at each other. And if I sat there, I'd be like,
I know, right?
oh.
The urge to kick people would be so hard for me. I could not have the patience for that.
They'd be like, Caleigh, we can't use it. You were muttering too much behind the camera. What are you guys doing? What is happening? Oh my god. And I've definitely caught myself like when I'm watching back what stuff I filmed, I'll catch myself being like, oh, and aw. Like I've definitely like, verbally said words.
Yeah.
So it'd just be funny if I was just sitting there being like, oh no. Oh no. Sorry. I know we went from like Brave Heart, like a cinematic masterpiece, to my schmut. I promise I'll try not to do that next week. But that was
it's all good. It'll be a very colorful episode.
And you know what? Next week, Kendra's going to talk about Mean Girls and Wonka, so I feel like it'll be a much better time. Much better time.
Hey, you know what? I found it interesting.
Excellent. I'm glad somebody did.
There's a little bit for everyone. There's a little bit of cinema, a little bit of, reality trash. You got to keep it balanced.
Yeah. As our New Year's goals, balance. Yeah, I think that'll do it for today's episode. A little wacky one, but that's who we are. But yeah, so what have you guys been watching? How have you guys been doing with your Oscar checklist? Let us know in those comments down below. And consider subscribing to Two Pretty Cool Gals, in my opinion. And 1 like equals how many smutty shows I have to continue to watch. So the more you like, the more I'll watch. Doesn't take much, but I mean, I'll do it. But anyways, guys, watch all the content, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Monkey.